They are everywhere, on the train, at the gym, at the work, everywhere you look. I'm talking about headphones. For many of us, they have become almost an extension of our bodies. But the same devices that bring us music, focus, and help us escape reality could also be silently destroying our hearing. Every day, millions, if not billions of people plug in without realizing they might be damaging their hearing permanently. Here's the brutal truth. Once your hearing is gone, it doesn't come back.
What?
So is our obsession with being plugged in pushing us towards a future where hearing loss becomes the new normal? The World Health Organization warns that more than 1 billion young people are at risk of hearing loss due to unsafe listening habits. And at the center of this warning is something many of us use every single day: headphones. But how did these small devices go from being a luxury gadget to becoming a constant companion? Almost a norm in our daily lives. A few decades ago, headphones were clunky and often tied to big stereos or Walkmans. Fast forward to today, headphones have become part of how we live, work, and even define our personal space. Think about it. On the train, in the gym, walking to the class, or even in the office, there's barely a place where you don't see someone with earbuds in or big over-ear headphones on. But this shift didn't happen overnight. With every leap in technology, headphones have gone from being a gadget to being a lifestyle. They are no longer just about listening to music. They have become a tool for focus, a way to signal, do not disturb, and for some, even a fashion accessory. In other words, headphones have quietly moved from being a convenience to becoming a necessity. When discussing the risks of headphones, the first thing that comes to mind is hearing loss, often caused by unsafe listening habits. That means people listening too loud for too long, too often. So how does it actually happen? Inside our ears, we have tiny, delicate hair cells that pick up sound and send it to the brain. Think of them like piano keys. If you play gently, they make music. But if you slam on the keys again and again, eventually they break. And unlike piano keys, these hair cells don't get replaced. Once they are damaged, they are gone. And with them, part of your hearing. Experts say that safe listening means staying below 85 decibels. But the scary part is that hearing loss often develops silently. You might not notice it until it's too late. When ringing in the ears, known as tinnitus, becomes a constant background noise. And this isn't just about not being able to hear music or conversations clearly. Hearing loss has linked to other health problems too, like social isolation, depression, and even cognitive decline as we age. In other words, protecting our ears isn't just about sound, it's about protecting our overall well-being. Headphones don't just affect our ears, they also affect our brains. Research shows that constant exposure to loud sounds can rewire the way our brain processes audio. In simple terms, if your brain is always working overtime to filter and handle noise, it can start struggling with focus and memory. Think of it like trying to work in an office where someone keeps shouting in the background. Over time, the brain adapts to the noise, but not in a good way. There's also the reward system at play. Music stimulates dopamine, the same feel-good chemical triggered by food or social media. That's why we often reach for headphones when we are stressed, lonely, or just bored. But here's the catch. The more we rely on this instant hit of pleasure, the more our brain starts craving it. It becomes harder to sit in silence, to let a thought breathe. We avoid getting bored, something that is paramount to give the brain some time to relax. Some neurologists even warn that constant headphone use could contribute to sleep problems, high stress levels, and even anxiety. You wonder why? Because our brain never fully switches off. So while headphones can be an escape, they can also create a kind of invisible prison for the brain. Headphones don't just affect our ears or our brains, they also shape how we connect. Think about it. When you put your headphones on in public, you are not only listening to music or a podcast, you are also sending a message. I'm busy, don't talk to me. This can be great when you want privacy or when the world feels too loud, but it also creates invisible walls between us. Studies show that people are less likely to interact with strangers or even notice what's happening around them when they are wearing headphones. In a way, we are all walking around in our own little sound bubbles. And here is another piece of the puzzle: boredom. Or rather, the fact that we don't know how to be bored anymore. A few decades ago, waiting for a bus or sitting alone in a cafe often meant staring out of the window, daydreaming, or maybe even talking to a stranger. Today, silence and boredom feel unbearable. Instead, we put on headphones, scroll, and keep ourselves constantly entertained. This endless need for stimulation might make us feel less lonely in the moment. But it also takes away the small pauses where we used to reflect, recharge, and connect with others. Headphones are not disappearing. They are $100 billion industry in the making, and they are deeply woven into our daily lives. The question isn't about giving them up. It's about using them wisely. Experts suggest simple habits, like the 60-60 rule, listening at no more than 60% volume for no longer than 60 minutes at a time. Taking listening breaks, using noise-cancelling features so you don't have to crank up the sound, and paying attention to signs like ringing in the ears can all help. But it's not just about hearing. It's also about balance, letting yourself be unplugged, having moments of silence, and choosing connection over constant escape. Headphones should add to our lives, not quietly take something away. At the end of the day, headphones are not the villain. They are a mirror of how we live, connected, distracted, entertained, sometimes isolated. The real question is not if we should use them, because we will. It's about how we choose to. If we listen wisely, protect our hearing, and give ourselves room for silence, then headphones remain what they were meant to be: a source of joy, focus, and creativity. But if we use them as a shield against boredom, silence, or each other, then we risk trading connection for isolation. So here's the question I want to leave with you. Are your headphones helping you hear more of the world or less of it?